In a big boost to health facilities to tackle COVID-19 situation in Delhi, DRDO builds 1,000-bed Sardar Patel COVID Hospital in record time of 12 days. Home, Defence and Health Ministers visit the facility and express happiness. Home Minister reiterates PM Modi's resolve to help people in challenging times. Delhi CM thanks the Union Government on behalf of the people of Delhi. Delhi Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal inaugurates largest of its kind in the world 10,000-bed Sardar Patel COVID Care Centre in Chhatarpur. Over 1,000 doctors, nurses and paramedic staff of ITBP and other CAPFs deployed at the facility along with 75 ambulances. Recovery rate from COVID-19 improves to nearly 61% with over 4 lakh recoveries. All 2.4 lakh active cases remain under active medical supervision. Global tally of confirmed cases rises to 1.13 crore with over 60 lakh recoveries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls on President Ramnath Kovind at Rashtrapati Bhavan. The PM briefs the President on issues of national and international importance. Heavy rainfall, lightning and thunderstorm hit Delhi NCR. IMD predicts widespread rainfall in several parts of the country. The flood situation in Assam improves as water recedes at several locations. And traditional Chhari Mubarak Puja marking commencement of Amarnath Yatra performed at Pahalgam on auspicious occasion of Ashar Purnima. Yatra to be undertaken in a restricted manner this year due to COVID-19 pandemic. Namaskar. You're with the latest here on DD News and DD India. I am Gautam Roy. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today called on President Ramnath Kovind at Rashtrapati Bhavan. The PM briefed the President on the issues of national as well as international importance. Now, to cope with the projected surge in the number of COVID-19 cases in the national capital, huge makeshift facilities are being set up to meet the demand across the city. Home Minister Amit Shah, Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan visited one such makeshift COVID care facilities set up in record time by DRDO in collaboration with the MHA and Tata Sons. Take a look.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah, Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh and Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan visited Sardar Patel COVID Hospital built in record time by DRDO in Delhi. The fully air-conditioned 1,000-bed hospital has about 250 ICU beds and will be operated by the Armed Forces Medical Services.
ये कोरोना मरीजों के लिए एक टेम्पररी हॉस्पिटल बना है। सबसे बड़ी विशेषता ये है कि इसको 12 दिन के अंदर ही यह तैयार किया है। मुझे यह भी जानकारी दी गई कि लगभग 250 से अधिक इंटेंसिव केयर यूनिट्स यहाँ पर हैं। वेंटिलेटर्स, ऑक्सीजन और अन्य सारी सुविधाएं तो यहाँ पर उपलब्ध हैं ही। अपने में परफेक्ट हॉस्पिटल है। मैंने WHO की जो भी गाइडलाइंस हैं उन गाइडलाइंस को ध्यान में रखते हुए ही इस टेम्पररी हॉस्पिटल का निर्माण किया गया है। सब 1000 बेड।
हमने फर्स्ट फेज में 600 की टीम यहाँ खड़ी करी है। 600 लोग हैं जिसमें डॉक्टर्स है, नर्सिंग ऑफिसर्स है, पैरामेडिकल है और डॉक्टर्स में हर एक स्पेशलिटी के हैं। लैब, रेडियोलॉजी, इंटेंसिव केयर, मेडिकल स्पेशलिस्ट, तो सारे लोग हैं जिनकी 6 आवरली शिफ्ट ड्यूटी लगेगी। तो ये पहले 1 महीने के लिए हमने ड्रॉ किए हैं। मैक्सिमम लोग आए हैं आर्म फोर्सेस मेडिकल कॉलेज से, लेकिन नर्सिंग ऑफिसर्स ऑल ओवर इंडिया से आई हुई है।
As a mark of honor, the ICU and ventilator ward in the hospital has been named as Colonel B. Santosh Babu Ward, and other wards also named after the Indian Army troops who lost their lives in the Galwan Valley clash last month.
पूरा सीवेज डिस्पोजल ड्रेनेज सिस्टम वो सब कुछ बनाया गया है। इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इसमें 2500 किलोवाट लगेगी। इसके अलावा 6500 टन का इसमें एसी लगाया गया है। टोटल एसी जो होगा वो फ्रेश एयर पे चलाया जाएगा। इसके अलावा टॉयलेट की फैसिलिटी एज पर WHO गाइडलाइन दी गई है और हर हॉल में नर्सिंग स्टेशन दिए गए हैं।
With 100% oxygen access to all beds and cabins with 2 beds each, the facility by the DRDO has separate parts for staff and patients and an in-premises medical test facility for COVID. This facility comes after a huge 10,000-bed makeshift COVID care facility at the Radha Swami Satsang Vyas Center became operational in the city and is an addition to the preparations to fight the menace of COVID-19. With inputs from Meghna Dev, DD India.
Now, Delhi Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal inaugurated the 10,000-bed Sardar Patel COVID Care Centre, one of the largest such facilities in the world, at the Radha Swami Satsang Vyas in Bhati Mines in Delhi today. He added that the centre will play a crucial role in fighting against the pandemic. Baijal reviewed the availability of beds, oxygen cylinders, concentrators, ventilators, ICUs and medical staff at the centre set up in Chhatarpur. While the Delhi government has provided administrative support, the ITBP is the nodal agency operating the centre under the name Operation Corona Warriors.
कोविड केयर जब यहाँ आएगा तो जो हमारे डेडिकेटेड हॉस्पिटल्स हैं कोविड हॉस्पिटल्स, उनके अंदर रश की कमी होगी, यहाँ पे भी क्राउड आ सकेगा और ज़रूरत पड़ी तो यहाँ पे काफ़ी हॉस्पिटल बेड्स भी हैं, वो लोग भी आ सकते हैं। बहुत अच्छी फैसिलिटी आपके ऑफिसर्स ने मेहनत की है, DG ITBP साहब ने की है, राधा स्वामी सत्संग व्यास के लोगों ने भी किया है। तो ये सब मिल कर के एक बहुत अच्छा फैसिलिटी आया है जिससे लोगों को सुविधा भी होगी और बाकी जो पेशेंट्स हैं, सीरियस पेशेंट्स हैं जो हॉस्पिटल्स में जाते हैं डेडिकेटेड, वहाँ उनके लिए भी भीड़ कम होगी।
Well, the centre is 1,700 feet long and 700 feet wide, roughly the size of 20 football fields, and has 200 enclosures with 50 beds each. It has 2 segments, a COVID care centre where asymptomatic positive coronavirus cases will be treated, and a dedicated COVID health care, that's DCHC, which will treat symptomatic cases and has oxygen support system. The CCC will have 90% of the beds, while the DCHC will have the rest. More than 1,000 doctors, nurses and paramedics of the ITBP and other Central Armed Police Forces and other 1,000 paramedics, assistants and security staff have been deployed at the facility for its smooth operation. A team of counsellors and psychiatrists will also be present at the facility to help those who are stressed or traumatized due to the coronavirus outbreak. The force has made adequate arrangements at the centre, including for security, a reception, a call centre, nursing stations, command control stores, maintenance staff and much else. A robust admission and monitoring system has been prepared as an e-hospital, wherein details of patients such as the ambulances that brought them in, symptoms, dates of admission and much else will be collected, shared and monitored digitally. E-vehicles and ambulances have also been deployed for facilitating the movement of patients inside the centre. Apart from peripheral and close camp security, a special quick reaction team is also in place at the centre to attend to sudden security requirements. Let's now go across to my colleague Meghna Dev to find out more about the kind of facilities that are coming up in the national capital to take care of the COVID-19 patients. Meghna, just tell us these facilities that have come up. One is a 1,000-bedded one, the other 10,000-bedded ones. To what extent will their services be required now, and how will the people be able to access their services if they need them?
Absolutely, Gautam. Actually, the projected surge in the COVID cases had resulted in, making up more temporary facilities, temporary field facilities, makeshift facilities, and the 1,000 bed DRDO facility and the 10,000 bed facility at the Radha Swami Satsang Vyas Spiritual Center is a fine example of how makeshift facilities can not only be treating asymptomatic patients, but can also be having ICUs and intensive care units, and actually cater to symptomatic patients as well. And there are different sections that have been built in, and specifically talking about the DRDO center, which was visited today by Home Minister, the Raksha Mantri, and also the Health Minister, is a 1,000-bed facility which has oxygen facility in every attached to every bed. There are 250 intensive care units, 250 beds have intensive care units, and also the major thing is that it was built in a record time of 12 days by the DRDO. So it is obviously the engineering of the entire structure, because it is a makeshift facility. So definitely it has to be built from scratch, from the tent, the setup of the tent, to getting the beds. And also the entire facility, it's a fully air-conditioned facility with fresh air ventilation, both in the same premises, in the same area. Also has pharmacies inside it. Also has some wards near which there are nursing wards, nursing tables also provided around that place. And also this entire area has a different block for patients, has a different block for doctors, and it will be operationalized by the Armed Forces Medical Services, which will be actually operationalizing the entire, it will be manned by the personnel of the Armed Forces Medical Services. So this is the entire 1,000 bed facility, which was much required, because not only normal COVID care facilities are required, there's also a very urgent requirement of ICU bed facilities. So there are 250 beds which are of ICU. And when we talk about the Radha Swami Satsang Vyas Center, the first batch of patients have arrived today, and that is a care unit wherein there are also the meals that will be provided in the center itself. There's a community kitchen will be providing meals. The ITBP and the CAPF have taken care of the entire medical and paramedical, aspect of the entire operationalization of the center. So all these things have taken care of. It also not only helps to, help the patients to who don't have an isolation place at their own homes to come, but also is helping symptomatic patients to be treated who do not actually require a lot or not very serious.
Right.
So it is also those patients. And Gautam, one more important thing here is testing facilities are all available inside the premises. Ambulances are there, so in any medical emergency, these people
can so completely self-sufficient in taking care of the patients of COVID-19, those who might turn up there for treatment and other facilities. Thanks a lot for joining us. For the moment, Meghna De. Okay, now the number of recovered COVID-19 cases, if you talk about the situation across the country, that has been increasing steadily. Over 1.6 lakh more have recovered than the active ones that have been reported in the country so far. According to the figures compiled by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, there are 1,64,268 recovered cases more than the active COVID-19 cases as of today. According to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, currently there are 2,44,814 active cases in the country, and all are under medical supervision. 4,09,082 patients have been cured and discharged until now, while 19,268 have died due to the coronavirus pandemic till now. Now, the 33-hour lockdown enforced by the Karnataka government has been largely successful across the state, as people stayed indoors and roads looked deserted. A huge spike in COVID-19 cases last week was a cause for concern to the government, despite the fact that the mortality rate and recovery rate in the state has not been alarming. Bengaluru reported over 1,000 positive cases in the past 24 hours, and that led to decisions of lockdown. And Karnataka Medical Education Minister Dr. K. Sudhakar has spoken to DD News and said it's a challenging situation, but there is no scarcity of beds in the state, and the government is equipped to handle the crisis, and more facilities are being set up. Dr. Sudhakar said that the government is hopeful of containing the spread with various strategies adopted and implemented.
Karnataka is observing 33-hour complete lockdown across the state, and Bangalore is in focus because Bangalore has been reporting a drastic rise in the number of positive cases from past few days, and this is because the government has increased and doubled the testing rate in Bangalore and across the state as well. So therefore it was essential to bring this 33-hour lockdown, because this the government believes will cut down the transmission and will also break the chain. So we see empty roads across the Bangalore city here. Only essential services are operating, and often the sirens of an ambulance van moving up and down from hospital to other facilities bring you to harsh reality of the pandemic we are facing, and also the fact that citizens are worried about the number of increasing cases in the city. And now the government has also established over 8,000 booth level committees to survey and monitor the illness and any minor illness that people are faced with, so that the virus can be detected and they can be subjected to testing for coronavirus. And in this way the government is making all efforts to see that especially the senior citizens are kept in surveillance and monitored. Their health is being monitored at the booth level. People in Bangalore city as well, in some commercial areas, had gone in for a voluntary lockdown in the last 5 days itself, because people realize that it is in their hands to control the spread of this disease. It is not just the government alone which can fight coronavirus, but it is a participation of the citizens which is important, which will help contain this disease. So people had gone for voluntary lockdown also in several areas, but now today's lockdown, the Karnataka government hopes will bring down the transmission, will break the chain, and at least the government will be able to contain this increasing numbers, and also attend and ramp up the medical facilities so that the treatment can be done on time, and the government will be ready with all the facilities to fight coronavirus across the state. With cameraman Manjunath, Asha Khanam, DD India, Bangalore.
Our national mortality rate has been very good. Similarly, in Karnataka, we are less than the national mortality rate. So this is number one. Number two, we need to increase the number of tests. Unless we know how many people are infected, we can't immediately start the treatment. The treatment has to be in place in time. That is number one. And tracing and tracking of the people, contact of the infected people, that is also very crucial here. And thirdly, the ambulances, the COVID care centers and the hospitals which treat them.
Now, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today virtually launched social media app Elements on the occasion of Guru Purnima. This is the first of its kind app which has been developed in India. On the occasion, the Vice President said that such efforts will provide impetus to Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. He also greeted the nation on Guru Purnima. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also extended greetings to countrymen on the occasion of Guru Purnima. In a tweet, the PM said, and I quote, "Many wishes to the countrymen on Guru Purnima. Today is a special day to show respect to the Gurus who make life meaningful. On this occasion, my best regards to all the Gurus." There's some tragic news coming in. 28 people have been killed after being struck by lightning in Bihar yesterday. 70 people have lost their lives in the past 3 days due to lightning strikes. The most number of deaths of 9 persons was reported from Bhojpur district, while other affected districts include Saran, Rohtas, Kaimur, Jahanabad, Buxar and Aurangabad. According to the Met Department, lightning and gusty winds are likely to be witnessed over some places across the state till the 8th of July. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar expressed grief over the deaths and announced 4 lakh rupees ex gratia for the next of kin of each of the deceased. In Uttar Pradesh, at least 14 people were killed and several others injured after being struck by lightning in various districts of the state on Saturday. According to an official statement, 8 people lost their lives in Allahabad, while 6 were killed in Mirzapur. A report from the Relief Commissioner's office said that 9 others in Prayagraj and 10 in Mirzapur suffered serious burns. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has expressed deep anguish over the loss of lives and directed respective district magistrates to extend ex gratia of 4 lakh rupees to the next of kin of those killed. He also asked the officials to ensure that proper medical treatment is provided to the injured. Now, a fresh bout of rain and high velocity winds lashed the national capital early today, bringing the mercury down by several notches. The Met Department has predicted more rain, thunderstorm and strong surface winds during the day. Humidity levels in the national capital also shot up to 100%. The monsoon arrived in Delhi on the 25th of June. Normal rainfall has been forecast in the national capital during the monsoon season. In Assam, flood waters have receded at several locations and overall situation is showing improvement. 18 out of 33 districts of the state, however, still remain affected by flood waters. With the death of 2 more persons in the last 24 hours, the total death toll this flood season has now reached 37. The Assam State Disaster Management Authority on Saturday said that over 10.75 lakh people remain affected in 1,412 villages and localities in 18 districts of the state. Altogether, 171 relief camps and relief distribution centers are functional as on date, providing shelter to over 6,500 families. Now, heavy rains continue to lash Mumbai, Thane and other parts of Konkan in Maharashtra for the 3rd consecutive day today and caused waterlogging in several low-lying areas of the metropolis. The Indian Met Department has forecast intermittent rains in the city and suburbs with possibility of heavy rains at isolated places in the next 24 hours. Heavy rainfall inundating some low-lying areas of the city including Hindmata and central Mumbai and Chembur in eastern suburbs, the neighbouring Thane district and some other areas in Konkan region including Sindhudurg also received very heavy rainfall. There is high tide in the sea with waves up to 4.65 meters and people are advised not to venture out close to the sea. Let's now get you a situation update as far as the torrid weather is concerned, the rainy weather is concerned from Shama, my colleague in Mumbai. Shama, what's the situation right now? Because there have been warnings issued as well by authorities. Explain to us how are people being expected to conduct themselves in the face of these heavy rains that the monsoons are bringing in that region?
Well, thankfully for the last 2 hours, the rains have stopped and we are seeing that there has been an opportunity for all the low-lying areas where the waterlogging situation had happened. So the water is receding from all these low-lying areas, including Hindmata, Kurla, Sion, Ghatkopar, and Tofel, and other places which are considered and which are included in the low-lying areas. The BMC officials and the pumping machines are set up at all these localities, at all these places to pump out the water as fast as they can. But the main problem over here lies is that all the low-lying localities, the slums included, there once the water goes in, the waterlogging problem arises over here. It is very difficult for the water to get out, very difficult for the personnel officials to get the water out, and these people have to face a lot of problems. And given the situation of the ongoing pandemic, COVID-19, this particular situation is really scary because we know for a fact that waterlogging will bring with it a lot of other diseases as well. Other than that, we are also seeing that the Powai Lake in Mumbai has is already overflowing, but the water of Powai Lake is mostly used for the industrial purposes. It is not used for the drinking purposes. But given the rain, the speed of the rain and the pattern of the rain, it wouldn't take a lot of time for all the
things can change very dramatically within a matter of hours, and you keep an eye on the situation, Shama. Thank you for joining us for the time being. Now let's shift to Jammu and Kashmir, where Chhari Mubarak Puja rituals were performed at Pahalgam base on the occasion of Ashar Purnima this morning. The ritual marks the commencement of the annual Sri Amarnath Yatra. Later, the chhari will be carried to various temples across the country before reaching Sri Amarnath Cave Shrine on the occasion of Raksha Bandhan on the 3rd of August. The Yatra this year will have to be undertaken in a restricted manner due to the COVID-19 pandemic. A maximum of 500 pilgrims will be allowed per day by road from Jammu. Baba Amarnath Yatra this year will be telecast live on Doordarshan. Adequate arrangements have been made to ensure uninterrupted telecast of the Aarti. The 42-day Yatra was scheduled to commence from the twin tracks of Pahalgam in Anantnag and Balk in Gandarbal on the 23rd of June, but was delayed due to the outbreak of COVID pandemic. And that's all we have at the moment in this edition of the news. Stay tuned for all the latest to DD News and DD India.